I'm playing against a talented youngster at the ChessBase India Chess Club. It started off as a Caro Kann exchange variation, and then after knight e2, I played bishop g4. He castled. I played my pawn to e6. It was 3 minutes plus 2 seconds increment. I was expecting that, I will beat him quite easily. His rating was somewhere around 1000 to 1100 FIDE rated, and then he plays this move queen a1, and that took me by surprise because this is one of the main lines in this opening, and it's an amazing thing because if you go bishop d6, f3, you sack this pawn and you play bishop h5, queen h4, and white wins. You see there, I'm trying to recollect. I'm actually very surprised that he played this move, so I took here. We'll analyze this opening at the end of this video. He took back with the queen here, and now I developed bishop d6. Now g3 is a good move, and white keeps a small advantage out of this opening. It's a very good position for white, and so black must seek an improvement before this. But he played f4, which I did not like, and now I was like, okay, at least his bishop is limited here. I also have the e4 square weakness. So this position, I felt a little bit more confident about my chances. And so I got my knight out to f6. Look at the focus with which the boy is playing. I mean, it's tremendous. And so many people gathered around the board, looking at the game, wanting to, check out what's happening. Knight a3, very nice move. Well, here I, for a second, thought I should take this, pawn takes, spoil his structure and castles. But then I did not like the fact that he could go a4, bishop a3, rook b1, get counterplay. You can see that I was considering taking, but it's the best move. I should have taken on a3, but I decided to limit the knight with a6. That was not the best idea. But, the position is around equal at this point. Thinking for his move, he then played knight to c2. I was like, okay, there's nothing much happening here. Let's castle it out. Short castling. And here a very good idea for white would have been to launch his pawns with g4, g5, then get his queen in, maybe rook f3, rook h3. It's an excellent attacking position. But here, my opponent took some time on the clock and came up with a very, very interesting idea. Quite a lot of thought given there, and he plays his knight to e3. Now I was for a second a little bit confused. Can I take this? Then I saw maybe he sacks, queen takes, and some discovered attack. But then I can just move the queen, so that's no big deal. But if I take, what's happening? Is there a move like knight g4? I started to calculate a lot here, and somehow I knew that it's dangerous. It's not the best idea. But then I saw that if I take, he goes knight g4, I can take on g4, and if he takes, I can play e5, something like this. But then after bishop, I missed it, bishop g3, and white is just better. So this calculation was wrong. But at the same time, after knight g4, if I take bishop takes c1, I was super scared that he would take on f6 and spoil my structure here. Let's say rook c1. He might have excellent compensation. So there you can see, I have burnt a lot of my time in this position calculating this, and finally I took it. I wanted to justify my time usage, but that was not a good idea, and he plays it instantly. He's very excited here that he's played this, and now I must take this. I must go into bishop c1, knight f6, gf6. Okay, my structure is spoiled, but I think my king can survive there. But look at my next choice. Now this time I'm down to 43 seconds. Unbelievable. Almost going to lose this game. I took on g4, and here he should have taken on f4. He would have had a big advantage, but he took on g4, and I was like, oh, that's just wrong. I can now just take on h2, or I can even take on c1. Well, I decided that with my less time, I should simplify. I'm a pawn up. Rook ac1 is what he would take. He has 1 minute 33 seconds. He's a pawn down, but I have only 22 seconds, and I'm still playing very slow. Here f5 was played because just to limit this bishop. Okay, e6 is a weakness. but this is just completely better position for black now. However, time plays a crucial role here. And now queen to h3. He holds his queen, he plays it to h3. His idea is to play g4. I should be playing quickly now, but somehow I'm still very relaxed. I bring my rook e8. My opponent is thinking here what to play. He goes g4, which is the most logical move. I go g6. Rook a e1 has been played. Now I took, queen takes, and maybe a move like rook takes f1 followed by e5 would have been good. But look at me, I'm down to 10 seconds. I push my pawn to e5. I don't know how I was so relaxed on that day. 10 seconds on the clock. Okay, there's 2 seconds increment, but it's just really low on time here. Yeah, you take. That's a good move by him. And now I can't take with the rook. I wanted to keep the rook on this file. I didn't want to allow him to give me a check with the queen, so I took with the king. I was down to 4 seconds. Have I even noticed that I was going to lose on time? Now I notice and I'm like, whoa, 4 seconds only left. What the hell am I doing? And at this point, it's very difficult to now readjust yourself to play quickly. Queen f3 check would have been an interesting move, hitting the d5 pawn. My opponent is a bit nervous there because he knows he can beat me. He goes queen h4. I go king g7. Once again, I'm winning. I push e4, queen f6, king g8, bishop e2, and queen e7, offering a queen trade, but he doesn't take it. Rook f8. Now I'm better. Pawn up, also exchanging pieces there. He's also low on time. Take. Also, I've gained time in the last few moves. King g7, bishop h3, queen f7. Oh, he exchanges the queen and I was so happy here. But somehow, it was not so simple to win this. He goes bishop c8. My b5 move was not the best for sure. d7, knight a7. All of a sudden, he has play here. King f4. g5. Oops, sorry. g5. King e3. King e7. Bishop f5. 6. Knight goes back there. Bishop c8, b4, and he attacks my knight. Come with my king. Take, take. I don't know suddenly who's winning here. I was sure that I'm winning this, but didn't know how. Maybe knight c4 was just over, but I came back. It's all not great endgame play by this point, and his a pawn is very strong. Still, black is winning because my king takes care of this. h5. Well, at this point now, both players are playing. I take the d4 pawn and he's unhappy, very unhappy. I should have taken on b3, but I became greedy and I came back, which I should not have. Knight e7. Somehow this passive position means that I cannot make progress, and once I cannot make progress, the game is ending in a draw now. King here, knight b8 maybe. Oh, he takes on d5, and somehow miraculously he manages to hold this to a draw. Oh man, what a crazy complicated game. I kept trying with that extra pawn, but it was not to be. He actually defended pretty well till the end. I'm also glad that I didn't lose on time, especially because I have not been playing so much. When I was low on time, it was very tough. He also managed his time very well. Clearly, he is much stronger than what his rating suggests, and now I knew that Here the only way is to hope for a knight fork somehow so that I can win the bishop, but it's not so simple. It's not so simple to get a knight fork. There you see he moves his bishop far away, and well, we played on for a few more moves. But in the end, there was no way to break through. Fantastic game from competitive perspective, from an accuracy perspective, not such a great game. And we agreed to a draw. He was so happy, so excited with that draw, and of course I wish him good luck for his chess. I'm sure that when he plays more, his rating will increase quite a bit. The nice thing over here also is that a lot of people start analyzing once the game is over. That's very cool to see. So let's have a look at this opening which I had promised to see with you. E4, C6, D4, D5, E takes D5, C takes D5, bishop D3, knight C6, C3, queen C7, knight E2. Now the reason I play queen C7 here is because I want to stop bishop F4. So let's say if you go knight F6, then bishop F4 is quite a normal line. It's also one of the main lines. So I go queen C7, he goes knight E2. He wants to now put his bishop here, so I go bishop G4. Now if you were to play bishop F4, I can take queen F4, knight F4, bishop D1, and the position is simplified. It's roundabout even. So he goes castles, I go E6, and this is the move, queen E1, beautiful move by my opponent. He was well aware of the latest theory in this line. Now one of the main moves here, bishop D6, is actually a bad move, because after F3, now if you take, then you are losing the game. Bishop H5, queen H4, attacks the bishop, also this bishop, you are piece down. So you can't take the pawn, but if you play bishop H5, then here comes queen H4. Now where do you play your bishop? Suppose you go knight to F6, then there is already bishop G5 putting pressure here. And one of the big problems is that after bishop G6, when he takes, you can't take with the H pawn because the rook is hanging. So you have to take with the F pawn. And here you lose a pawn at the very least. So this is not good. So I started to analyze what is the best way here after this position, and I realized that bishop D6 is actually a bad move, because even if you go F3, bishop H5, queen here, bishop G6 instead of knight F6, even this position is not good. White is putting a lot of pressure on this weakness. So that led me to think that okay, now I should take, and this is what I did in the game. Instead of bishop D6, I took. But here in this position after G3, White has a free-flowing edge. He goes knight D2, he puts his knight on F3, he has the bishop pair. White is just doing wonderfully well. So I have to seek an improvement on this move. And the interesting move that I came across is knight F6. The point is, after F3, bishop H5. Now if he plays bishop F4 here, I have two ways to deal with it. One is BD6, which is possible, but after, let's say, queen H4 or take here, white would be slightly better. So the more combative way is queen B6, and I think black is doing very well in this position. So he has to play queen H4. And here is where I looked at two ideas. One, the first idea is the very unusual rook G8. And this move, what you want to do is you want to play your bishop here, and when he takes, you want to take with the H pawn. So that's one thing. Notice that there's a small tactic here, but I think after takes and knight F6, black should have good compensation for the pawn. But the move that I would recommend here to all of you is bishop G6, and after takes, to take with the F pawn. Now what is different from normal positions with bishop on D6 here is that, first of all, knight F4 with the idea of rook E1 and putting pressure here does not work, because king F7 rook e1 and already rook e8. Black is very comfortable. He can put his bishop on d6. He can also think of h6 and g5 in such positions, and also e5 break is on the cards. So the other possibility here is bishop f4, but then I go queen b6, and once again black is doing very fine. The king comes to f7, the rooks are connected, e6 is not such a big weakness. And if you go bishop g5 here, then king f7, knight d2, h6, bishop e3 and bishop d6. Once again black has taken over the initiative. g5 is coming up pretty soon. So all in all, this looks amazing. There was one small trap that I was that was in rook g8 line, just to show you here. If he goes bishop g5, I go bishop g7, take, bishop f6, gf6, queen takes, and now black to play and win. Try to think what's the best move here. The best move is g5 and the queen is trapped. Next move I'm going bishop g7. You can't stop it. Bishop g7, if you take queen g5, bd4 check and you lose the queen. So well, maybe king h1 is a possibility, but then rook g6, queen h8 and rook h6 does the job. The queen is trapped here. f4, bg7, and this is also winning the queen. But rook g8, I think bishop h7 is something that gives white maybe decent chances. So that's the reason why I recommend bishop g6. So bishop g6, this equalizes, but then I figured out to knight f6, not f3, but a better move here is to play bishop to g5. And after this, it seems like black is white is fighting for an edge. Bishop h5, f4 is a good move to know, and white is slightly better. And otherwise, if I play bishop takes e2, queen e2, bishop d6, g3, h6, it's interesting because if he takes, I'm able to long castle here and then use this h5, h4. This is a good position, but he will most likely go back, and this I feel is slightly better for white. So after a deep investigation of this opening, I've realized that queen e1 is a nice move. It keeps a small edge. I would play knight f6, bishop g5, bishop e2, queen e2, bd6 line, where black is roundabout even. Maybe small edge for white, but still, all in all, it just shows how great level of players is, how much they prepare. And all of this preparation I have done, by the way, using ChessBase 16 and Mega Database. But to play against a 1000 rated player in ChessBase India Chess Club and he finding all these ideas is amazing. It shows the level of chess in our country. And also I want to emphasize that save your games, write down your games, note down your games so that you can analyze them later, learn and improve. This is Sagar Shah signing off. Bye bye.